I thought I would do a video on the band file I made. Band file, dyno file, Raptor, whatever you want to call them. This is one of those Harbor Freight $10 grinders. This is the drive wheel I'm using that fits on here. Basically, it's just a 5/8 nut. And it's still got, if you look, you can just see the corners still in there. And anyway, so I just chucked that up in the lathe and turned it down until it was just smooth. And then it's counterbored with a 3/4 inch end mill. You could probably use a 3/4 inch drill bit to counterbore that. The depth is determined by how much offset there is on your plates. The mounting bracket I used, I didn't go to a lot of trouble. This is the original bracket for the safety guard that comes on here, the safety guard. Anyway, I just cut the guard off and turned it down in the lathe, which you don't have to do. I mean, you can do it with the grinder. Just get it smooth so it's flat, all the way around. And then this is just a piece of scrap, I don't know what it is. Might be 14 gauge or 11 gauge maybe, I don't know. Anyway, it just scrap stuff. And then you try to cover up. If you look, this band is thicker right here where the guard was welded on there. So I tried to use that because I wanted to use that thicker, more rigid area. So that's why this bracket goes around this far, that's where that heavy part is. And then I had this bolt on separate, and my thinking on this is when I got done with it, it didn't need anything for tracking. It seems to track okay because it just rubs right here a little bit. Eventually this might wear out and I have to put a piece of like a tungsten wear block or something in there. But right now it's okay. No tracking adjustment needed. But I bolted this on like that so you could shim in the middle and then you could teeter-totter this back and forth with the screws to get tracking on it, a little better tracking. In case I had a problem with it, but I didn't. It's a square tube. I've got a milling machine, so it was easy to cut a slot in it. You can just see the spring in there on the inside. This shaft is drilled and tapped for, I think that's 1032. And then this is 1/2 inch square tube. Another piece of 1/2 inch square tube. I plug welded it on each side, drilled a hole and plug welded it. It's got this bearing. I don't know what the outside diameter of this is. Probably 3/4. Yeah, 3/4. And it's got a 1/4 inch bore. And then it's 1032 flatheads I put on there. Tap for 1032 and then countersunk for the flatheads so they don't stick out. So that way it's narrow. You don't have that tracking bar, nothing in the way. And then this is just a shim that shims it out to the right height for the bearing and for the drive wheel on this side. I'll put it back together and show it to you. And that's it put back together. This whole thing was just made out of scrap stuff I had laying around. I'm thinking these bearings came out of possibly a flatbed scanner, maybe a printer. That may be where the shaft came out of too. I save all that stuff. And I'll put the belt on. And let me plug it in. Anyway, that's it. So, not a bad tool. Like I said, it's all scrap. I put the Allen head screws in it because I got like a whole coffee can full of those. They're stainless steel ones. $10 for the grinder. Not a bad deal. You don't have to make, like I said, I used the original clamp from the guard on the grinder guard. A lot of guys make them and they put this big heavy clamp and you don't really need it. Let me get my other one, I'll show you. This is my old Harbor Freight one. I'm guessing this is probably 17 years old. I think I got it around 2000. It's a 3/8 by 6, but look at the sheet metal that holds that. And like I said, I've been using it. This has got a tracking bar on it right here with the screws, and you can use these screws to help it track. But I found out just by bending it works better than these screws. But also too, see how it sticks out on each side here? It's wider than the belt. Where on this one here, there it is. You can see the better one's better because you can actually get in tighter places. Where this one here, it's hard to get in the corner. And also too, I wore out, if you have one of these, I wore out the roller on the end, and so right now it's got I think those are router bearings in there, off router bits. There's 2 of them stacked up. But anyway, this is a little better design, I think, because it, like I said, it's narrower. And it seems to work okay. Eventually it's going to wear out where that belt rubs, right in this corner. You can kind of see it from it whipping around in there a little bit. But it'll take a while for that to wear down. And like I said, when it starts getting too thin, I can put a piece of tungsten from my TIG welder and just braze it in there, and it'll rub on the tungsten, and then it'll have a hard time wearing that out. Anyway, that's it. See ya.